Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little one-point perspective painting. This is just kind of a painting sketch. So I've identified my horizon line, and I'm going to put my reference picture up on the screen so you can see it. And if I just follow this one building rooftop to my vanishing point, that puts my vanishing point about right there on my horizon line, about right there. So if I'm looking at my street in this, my street kind of comes down a little bit like this, and I have a little bit of a sidewalk that I'm just going to draw in like that. There is part of the sidewalk that goes this direction, so we'll go ahead and put that in there. There is a little bit of a, now in here we got a bunch of trees, and all the trees, and I'm not going to put a lot of detail, I'm just sketching all the trees in perspective going down towards this vanishing point over here. All my buildings are again also going to the vanishing point. So let's see, we got a couple right in there, and so all of them have rooftops that kind of that do this. They go straight back. There's one back in here that's a little bit taller. I'll go ahead and make this it right here. And this is a street scene from downtown Norfolk. And there's a building goes back this way, and a building goes like this way. Hopefully you can see this on the camera. And so one of the things that makes this one-point perspective is everything's going back to this one point in scale, trees, everything. We're also going to put a car in here, and we're going to put a train in here. Now the train's a little further back. I'm gonna move it up a little bit so that it's a little bit more prominent in the picture. I want to bring it forward a bit, so I'm going to put it about right here. And train track goes back like that, so we're going to put this train right in here, and it's not a train, it's the trolley, it's the Norfolk Wave. Great topic, I like it a lot. When I see it, I take a picture of it, and we're just going to throw it into this painting real quick, and it's just a little bit of a, there we go, everything going back to that one vanishing point. Here's my vanishing point. And so I got another building down here, another rooftop, another building front right here. I'm going to bring that down a little bit so it's not landing right in line with the back of the trolley. And you know, this is just making decisions about where stuff goes in your painting. All right, so on this side of the street, all right, it comes down, and it's a little bit deceiving because it looks, and remember, everything radiates off of the center point. So it looks like it's almost coming straight at you, but it's not. It's going just a little bit to the left of center line, and we'll look at it on the reference picture. And then this turns and goes this way. And we got a little bit of a sidewalk coming here, and then there's this tree coming up here, trees right here. Let's see, and there's also like a couple of different guide wires for the tree is going off in all kinds of different crazy directions here. And so now over on this side, this is going to be a really pretty sort of thing to this. So here's my vanishing point, still right there. So if I come up almost exactly, I'm gonna come in just a tad bit, and so there's a rooftop here for the MacArthur Mall, and it makes it look because it's being hidden by the tree. But again, here's my, and it's got some beautiful lights on it, so I kind of want to keep this in the picture, and it'll come out looking really cool. So here's the corner of the building. Here's a little bit of a, rounded corner. So it's got some windows on it, and they're all going this direction. So does this building over here. So this building, I'm not sure exactly what this building is. I'll have to look it up. But going again back to my vanishing point right here, right? So here's the top of the building, and then I'm going to put the top of my first window set. Here's my windows. Now I'm going to do like the next set of windows. They were going that way. So this is the top and the bottom of those windows. Again, even spacing here. It looks like that. And then the next set. And I don't have to be perfect, right? We're not trying to make an exact perfect. But look at this already. I've got the street coming in. I'm already set up to be very successful for this perspective drawing and 1 point perspective. And to be honest, 1 point is always a lot more fascinating if it's coming from one side or the other, not so much directly straight on. I mean, you can still make a great painting if you're doing directly straight on, but it's going to be so much more fascinating if you're coming at it a little bit different way. And so I'm just showing that the road turns here and goes that way, and the trolley line turns and goes that way. And as it turns, opens up a little bit, closes again as it goes this way. And there's another little highlight right in here that does kind of the same thing. It's the other side of the track, so one track goes one way and the other track goes the other way. And so it starts off all coming back here to this 1 point, and it opens up just a little bit right here. And these are just going to be kind of highlighted areas where we'll see what we can do to make it a little bit more highlighted. And this is a nighttime or nocturne, or just as it's getting really dark out. I'm going to change this a little bit. This comes down here and turns, but it comes back together as it goes around this corner. Probably one of the more challenging things to draw is turns. So then we got a crosswalk that's going across here. Goes right there. And again, I'm not trying to be perfect. And on this side we got a street light that goes this way. Let's see, we'll put it right here. And it's got, you know what, we're gonna move it over because we can do that and it kind of goes this way. So the arm on the street light is going back towards my vanishing point. So there it is, right? And it's got a little bit of there's a light going that way. We're going to do this nice and loose. We're not going to do it really tight. We're not going to try for a bunch of realism here. There's a big tree right here, comes up, comes back down, goes this way. There's a pole for all the lines for the trolley, because it's powered from electric, and they all go back. Guess what? They're going back to that vanishing point right there. And there's another line, pole right there. Everything's vertical. All right, we're gonna put this car in. This car is right here. It's about right here. And we just want to get it in perspective. So here's my box, right? If I were to, I'm always talking about boxes in class, so here's the box. Bottom of the car, front of the car, front of the box, goes like this. So that's my first box, everything going back to that perspective line. Now I'm drawing the top of the car, and it's the second box. Bam. I can even bring this out just a bit. Now I can do my wheels on my car. Do a little bit like that. Make the back of my car do this. Okay. Front wheel down here. Alright, there's my car, and it is more or less in perspective. And we're going to do the front of the car is going to come down just a little bit. Make it a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So, alright, first car's in. There's the windshield. There's the side windshield. Alright. And there's another car over on this side going away from us. We'll put him in here, right here. And so he comes down, comes across. He's very... So this box, again, okay. So here's the side of my box, here's the back of my box. And look, all my lines are either horizontal or going back to this vanishing point. That's how you know for sure you are dealing with 1-point perspective. Okay, so really that's pretty much all the drawing I need right there. We're gonna jump into it. We're gonna go, let's see, we'll do a little bit more. I want this to come up a little bit higher. And we're gonna go boom boom. And there are some other cross street poles, and there's a couple of trees right in here. And there we go. All right, let's get to painting. Okay, so I got a little bit of Indothrone blue and a little bit of Joseph Sabuchik cool gray, and mixing them together, getting myself a little bit of a blue sky, because this is a nighttime, this is a nocturne, right? So I'm going to start off kind of dark. It might look a little too dark at first, but it will definitely dry way lighter than it looks. So keep that in mind. So we're going to come in here and we're going to start off with the sky. And this area over here, and there's some real light in this painting. And so I want to preserve some of it. So this area can all go pretty much the same, all the way down. And that will work. And you're wondering why I mix large puddles. See, I didn't have enough mixed up to begin with. So I got to come back and get a little bit more. And I'm gonna leave that a little bit lighter, and I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna put down some beige color over there, so I don't want to get too dark over there. And all right, come down. Now there's a real strong row of lights right in there that I want to kind of try and preserve if I can. And then we're going to come this way, and right in front of the train there's some really strong light right in there, and so we want to kind of preserve that. And we're going to around our car, because our car is kind of... Now I can come in here and I can lift some of the areas I don't want to be too dark. But overall, got a nice dark look to this now. So we'll put some of beige color in here. And let's see. And so over here, yep, that's okay. I like it. So that's just a little bit of burnt sienna going in, and I'm gonna add to my roof here. I don't know why I picked it up too much. It's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll come down here. And now I'm going to create a thirsty brush, and I'll pick up some of the areas I want to preserve the light in as much as possible. So we're going to come in here and we'll pick up a little bit right in here, pick up kind of a little bit right there. I'm going to come in, pick up some in there. There are some street lights we want to kind of depict, and there is definitely some light over here, and there's some really strong light in here. And I'm going to go ahead and drop in some of my yellow for that, some of my what I want to be kind of strong lights coming down. A little bit of light over here. We'll make some light right there. And just throw a little bit of light right there. Throw a little bit of light in there. Just giving the impression, and it starts looking like real glowing happening over here. Red in here for these brake lights. We'll come back to that. But we kind of want a little bit different color over there. We're going to do a little bit different. We're going to do a glowing little street sign and our red light. Yeah. Definitely giving us some nice bright sort of Okay. We'll come back over here, and while we're still wet, we're gonna come back in and put in some of these buildings, and a lot of them are pretty dark, so I don't need a lot of detail. I just need like impressions of these dark buildings. And this one here is pretty dark. And we're going to throw in, oh, we need more. We need more gray. I think we'll be all right. We'll just be able to use this over here. Uh-oh. I wasn't sure what that was. All right. Coming in with some of our posts. And I'm kind of putting them in now because I don't mind if they bleed a little bit, and I don't even mind some of the water dots and stuff that I'm getting in here. All of that is fine. It's not a big issue. I'm going to come in. I want a little bit more of a glow over here. We'll come back to that. And I want a little bit more of a glow up here. Make it look like light. Okay. And so there's a building back here that is really kind of just in the background that's kind of bluish, almost transparent, or not transparent, but just really light, not super dark. And we're going to put in a little bit of our, all right, so now come back this way, a little bit of light pollution in there, not a big deal, and we're going to add some color in there. Okay. And a little bit more burnt sienna going back down the road. Okay. And I don't, again, keeping it really loose, keeping it, I'm doing a little bit of negative painting around my car because I want my car to be kind of a light color. It's not hard to make a wet looking street. You just gotta kind of work the highlights a little bit. That's all you really got to do. You got to pick this up a little bit because I don't want a really nasty looking. We're probably going to go back over this once it dries and give it a little bit of a picking up a little bit of pigment there. And I come back. I don't want that to be totally. I want it to be a little softer. Blend together a little bit more, not so rigid. Yeah, pick up that line. And once this dries, we're gonna go over it one more time, but the buildings will get darker. I want them to be a little bit darker than they are now. So once it gets a chance to dry a little bit, it'll start looking a little more natural. I give myself a lot of reassuring Now, this is what they call the ugly duckling phase for sure. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Pretty happy with where it's at. So we're gonna come in here and we're gonna add a little more blue, a little more gray, and we're gonna work on this building over here, and just now. I think that it's honestly easier to paint some of this if you were gonna try and do a little bit more realistic with a flat brush that has square sides to it. It'll make it a lot more easier. But I'm kind of just throwing it together and letting it be what it is. And picking up some of that pigment. I do a lot of that where I'll put some pigment down and then I'll pick it up, put some pigment down, then I'll pick it up. And it's just my way of managing it, really. And kind of gives me what I want. So yeah, these windows are darker, and so we're going to come in here and we're going to do a little bit more dark. I'm going to see how much we bleed. Yeah, we're still bleeding pretty good, so I don't want to go too much. We're going to give it a minute. See, I say that and then I start messing with it. I want it to have a little more blue in the windows. A little more blue. Yeah. And a little more range down there. Not trying to make it perfect, just trying to get it a little bit close, you know. Let it be impressionistic, let it be a little less than directly representational. We want these lines to be pretty soft. We don't want the super hard edges on them. Okay. We'll let that dry and come back and finish it up. It's drying, you know. I still got a few wet spots on here, a little bit damp. The sky is dry enough now to where I could probably work on it on the top of the building. It's dry enough. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. I'm going to do a little bit more work on the sky, not much. It really doesn't need much. Might put just a little tiny bit more blue in it and darken it up just a little bit, but don't really need to go too much in there. Kind of want to leave it a little bit, but we're gonna probably just hit it a little bit and kind of make this look a little bit more like dark clouds than like a complete sky. And I'll show you what we're going to do here is I'm just watered down some Indithrone blue, and I am going across the sky. Making it just a little bit darker. Now, the kind of gave up on clouds. I'm just kind of doing the whole thing, which is okay. Not a big deal. It is a nocturne, so I want it to look like night. I don't want it to look like just a dark rainy day. And we'll come on down here, pick some of that up. And the darker my sky looks, the brighter my street looks. And just a little. Nice. All right, we'll let that dry. Come back and check that out. So if you look in the reference picture, as light as this building is, it is definitely darker than the sky. So we're going to come in here, and it's not it's kind of a cream color, but we're gonna probably just make it a little bit more like a burnt sienna kind of yellow. Maybe add a little yellow to it, a little yellow ochre, and we're gonna come in here and just add that right in. And yep. Adding a little burnt sienna and ultramarine blue together, which is a really nice color combination. It's will definitely help. One of the more popular color combinations out there. And don't want to cover up my light. It looks dark going on, but it'll dry a lot later. Not too worried about that. What happened there? Brush control. Brush control. See, this whole area in here is covered by a tree anyway, so not a big deal. And coming down this way. Kind of showing some of that reflective, warmer light on the building. There's a little bit of a wall in there. Okay, that works. And a little bit of a more burnt sienna, and we've got a little bit of a sidewalk over here that's a little bit darker. So paint that in. Soften up that edge just a little bit. All right, we're going to go ahead and do some of this green for the trees, and we're going to keep it quite dark and pretty gray. But we'll have some green in it. Some blue in it. A little bit of it gets some light on the trees, and it comes out a little bit more green right there. But then right behind it is a very dark that offsets it quite a bit. Goes around that light, comes down like that. Goes down the street. So we're going to fix that. We'll come back to that. And around these lights, we got to treat it a little bit differently. I'm going to have to come back in and use a drier brush and a cleaner brush to clean up around it. But you can see I'm following this perspective all the way down with these trees. Down in the bottom of these trees is very dark. Right in here. Alright, come back and do some work on these buildings down here. And going away, they're kind of getting more, you know, they're getting further away, so they're getting a little more blue, a little more. Now, just coming back with a little more gray and more blue. And I'm just doing some negative painting around the There's a little bit of a glow on the wall back there. We're going to save some of that. Alright, so now we want to go in here and kind of soften up these lines around our lights. We don't want super hard lines. So all right. Picking up a little pigment there. Okay, so doing pretty good. I'm kind of liking this. It's not done. All right, now we're going to come in here and we're going to finish up some of these windows on this side. And getting a little bit of a glare off my paper. It's making it hard to see. So I'm just breaking them up a little bit so there's not all one long window. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Now another perspective rule is we could be doing some diminution to see what the exact size of those windows should be as they recede. And we could calculate it all out, but for this loose watercolor, we don't need to do all that. We're gonna eyeball it. All right. So we've gone one step darker. Now we're going to do the street a little bit darker and get some of our more wet street features in there. So I want a crosswalk right here, and it's kind of so I'm just doing a little negative painting so that I get the feeling of a crosswalk. Making it dark over on this side. We'll come back and we'll resurrect our crosswalk a bit later. I'm picking up some of those hard lines. Don't want it to be so. And it's okay to have a little bit of like that dry brush effect. It just makes it look like the street. There's some really dark reflective puddles right in the middle of the street, or dark non-reflective puddles, I guess you would say. And as you go back, everything gets lighter. Mm-mm. Yep. Just trying to keep the hard edges down. Don't want them showing up so much. Come over on this side, do a little work over here. We're gonna, it's kind of dark, but it's hidden mostly by a tree. So just making it a little bit darker is really all I'm doing. I'm going to come back in and put a few more highlights in there. Alright, now we let that dry, second coat, and we're going to come back for some of the darker colors next. It'll really start to pop. So picking up where we left off, I am going in now. We've done like 2 layers, and now we're going to start working on some of the darker layers and trying to get a little bit more dark in there. The dark layer may take a couple of swipes at it because it takes a little bit of work to get the darkest colors into a watercolor. So we may have to do it more than once. That's okay. Not a problem. But now I'm going in and I'm putting the shadows underneath the train and working on that. Let's see. And I'm going to want a little bit smaller brush. This is kind of a little detail work, so I'm going to go with a little bit smaller brush than I normally use. And make it a little bit easier. Soften this line up down here a little bit. Okay. There's like a hedgerow back here. It's pretty dark. It's just kind of gives some details in there. I'm going to put our light post in. Put another light post in right here. Alright. Another light post. And I'm going to do a little bit of the back tire. Front tire. Curb. Windshield. Just takes a little bit of a steady hand. I mean, it really doesn't bother me if it's not perfect. Gives a little more character if it's not quite perfect. a white carb. Pretty good. Put in some of the details of the train or the trolley. And just kind of doing the windows, going down the side of the trolley. Want them to look a little bit transparent. Side of the tree over there. Skipping around a little bit. And we're going to come back in here, put in a few dark lines. There's a little bit of a... I want to do this car. Car's kind of going away from us, so again it has that, and it's a dark car. It's not a livery like car at all. Here's the tires. Put in the shadow underneath it. Kind of lost it. I'm going to start over, try it again. And you notice I just used my paper towel to pick up what I put down in it. And it just lifts right up. You know, so that's very helpful. I don't have to mess around with a bunch of scrubbing or lifting. It's just, hey, I can just pick it up with a paper towel. But gotta be careful because you can also put pigment down that you didn't mean to put down. It's alright, we're gonna make that darker back there anyway. Alright. So there's this turn in the road right here that's got a little bit of a puddle. It's pretty dark. There's another one right in here. kind of getting a little more blue, and this car is kind of giving me a little bit of a challenge. There we go. A little better. I like that a little better. Alright. So now we'll come in here. A couple of different puddles. And make this go back. Putting in some details on the street. So we're going to make this light post a little bit darker, make it stand out a little better. This one too. And really what those are those are for wires that run across the road for the trolley. Put down a little bit more pigment at a time. Try to want a little bit of a dry brush effect in here. Now we're going to come over here. There's some more dark puddles. Just trying to make it look like it's going across the street. I'm going to come back in and put a little bit more color in there. Following that track on around. So we're going to come in here and add a little bit more little bit more yellow for these lights. And really what it takes is some variety. You gotta kind of mix it up a little bit. You have to work with edges. You have to try and get some of these areas to talk to one another. And alright. Pretty good, not bad. I'm kind of liking it. Like I said, I'll probably have to go in and clean some of it up a little bit and is just bringing some of the darker reflections down to the bottom. Yeah. So now we're going to work on these trees a little bit more, give them some definition. Down here at the bottom, they're kind of dark because they're in shadow. There is some dark area down here underneath the building, and we're going to just put in a couple of just doorways and things out on the street. And make a little bit more. Yeah, kind of like that. This side of the block over here is kind of dark right in through here. But we'll preserve some of that. Make this corner kind of dark down here. And then there's a some kind of tall bushes. Next we have just a full-blown tree, and it goes right in here. And it's so just trying to be random with it. Trees can be tricky because your tendency is to want to try and control everything about it and get it to go where you want it to go, and then it ends up looking less interesting. And So making it look a little more random is not a bad thing. Now this thing's got a lot of small branches that are no leaves, just these plethora of really small branches. And I'll show you something I do that kind of works for this. It's always a bit of a challenge, because again, we want it to be somewhat random, and getting the right texture on this and getting it to do can be a bit of a but it does work, and it gives the I'm going to get rid of some of those really harsh. Okay. Then we come back with our smaller brush, put in some of our medium lines. It can be a challenge to make this look organic. There's just so many branches, it's like a mass of twigs and branches, but like I said, getting it to look organic can be a bit of a challenge. Just keep working it. Keep working it. Don't give up. It will come together. Going back in here, putting in a little bit of this. There's a little bit of a stucco wall down there. I'm not trying to make it look perfect. I don't, I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to add a little bit of detail along the top here. But not a ton. Doesn't need it. Doesn't need a ton of detail. It just needs to be suggested. Sometimes better to let the viewer kind of fill in the blanks. A little bit of like an alcove in here. Kind of looks kind of cool because it's pretty cool. Yep. A little bit darker in here. There's another one over here. We're going to try and put in a few more. As it gets kind of down this, I think we're going to call this one done. Unfortunately, my battery died somewhere in there, and I'm not real sure everything I got, so I'll have to go back and look at it. But and there's some bushes in here. But a nice rainy night on downtown Norfolk. Let's see, came together pretty good. I'm not unhappy with it. Doing some final touches. When I'm up here painting and my wife hears me, she thinks I'm talking to myself. Which sometimes I am. I will admit. Sometimes it is a conversation that is happening out loud with myself. Telling myself to be better. It's kind of funny, I think. Alright. Well, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll do more. Keep painting.